Hello, friends, and for those of us who are going to join us later when I post this to the YouTube channel, I'm Hannah. I'm representing By Hand Cereal today, which is a travel and craft publication. It's been around since 2000 and I'm not so great at math. It's been around for 5 years. I'm like having trouble with the math off the top of my head. And it was started by Andrea Hungerford, and now I've taken over as of this year as the new editor-in-chief. Right now I'm working on a lot of new potential projects and issues coming up in the next year, but today I am very, very lucky to have Toni Lipsey, who is a Tunisian crochet genius designer and also was one of our designers for Lookbook 15. This is our Rhode Island issue, and she created this beautiful Block Island wrap for this issue. So today she's going to hop on with me here in just a little bit and talk about Tunisian crochet, how she got into this craft. It's a little bit more unusual. I wouldn't call it unusual, but it's a little more unusual than knitting or crochet, and talk about her design inspiration. So if you are joining me right now, we're gonna hang out for a few minutes and then invite Toni to join us as well. And I'm just really excited to be doing one of these when it's still daylight out. It's been dark for all of the other ones, and I've had to use all kinds of interesting studio lighting to make it work. But today we're doing one a little bit earlier in the day so that hopefully some of our UK friends and fans, folks over the ocean, can catch it maybe at the end of their evening. Or for those of you who have the availability during the day to catch it maybe on your lunch break if you're joining us from the Pacific Coast. Or if you kind of ended your day a little bit early, maybe you're joining us from somewhere else in the country. But it's really exciting to have this great series be so ongoing and so fun, and I really didn't expect to have such fantastic and interesting conversations with each of our designers. So far, we've had Noriko Ho on, and she talked about her designs for lookbooks 13 and 15, which is, again, the same issue that Toni is featured in. We had Anne Hansen on last night to talk about her Champlain pullover from our cabin issue. Hey, Emma. And we have had on Katarina Raquel and MJ Packer, who joined us to talk about the Lady of the Lake pattern, which was featured in the Hudson Valley issue. So there have been designers back to back over the past few weeks, and I still have several coming up. Like I've got one planned for this weekend, and I'm just pinning down the final details, and then I'll be announcing it. So if you aren't already on our newsletter list, you should definitely pop over and visit the website, which is just byhandcereal.com, and add yourself to that newsletter list so that you get discounts on all of our new pattern releases and information about when all of these things are happening and come available. I know that not everyone can check Instagram like I do obsessively 7,000 times a day, so that is a great way to get information quickly. Another option for you is to just hang out with us here on IG. Often I will post things to the feed or stories, reminders to let you guys know. And if you aren't super involved with Instagram, you might not know already that those countdown buttons, you can click them and ask them to send you a reminder when those videos are coming up. So that way you can kind of like catch them. And even if you don't catch them live, if you're rewatching, like maybe you're rewatching right now on YouTube, this is for the people in the future, then there's always an option to rewatch on our blog, and I post them to YouTube, and also they stay in our Instagram feed. I've added a highlight so that you can catch them later. I know that everyone's time is not the same, and it's not all available at the same moments as mine or our designer's timeline, so I want to make sure to be available to you guys. And as always, if you have any questions or want to know something about an issue or have a suggestion for an issue, then please hop over and send me a DM. Like I said, I'm always online. I'm happy to answer your questions. So it looks like Toni has just sent a request to the situation. Sometimes Instagram does it instantly, and sometimes, it did it right this time.
Hi, it worked. Yay.
I feel like I'm getting better every time.
Yes. How are
You look
you?
great. I'm good.
Wonderful. Good to see you. I love your hair, by the way.
Oh, thank
Talk
you.
about
I don't
it.
know how I'm feeling about it. It's like brown and then it's blue.
I don't know. It's just giving very like fall holiday mermaid. I'm here for it. I love
You're
it.
into it?
I
Okay, I
am.
might keep
I am.
it. Yeah, I don't know. I have like a hair identity problem. I can't decide what color my hair is supposed to be, so I change it like every month.
Oh, God, is that not the best problem to have though? It's like, oh, I'm over the blue. We're gonna go to pink. Who knows? Like
Yes. I did do pink. I did pink all summer. It was
you did.
so fun. It was like being a cotton candy fairy. It
Oh,
was fantastic. Little
that's
girls
so
will
funny.
stop you in the street if you have pink hair. They'll be like,
Oh,
"Mom, it's
they
a real
probably
life
think you're a
princess."
princess. Yeah, I was about to say, I was
I
like, they
know.
probably think you're a princess. That's
I'm like, "Where's
amazing.
my castle?"
I know, really. I was just about to ask if you were wearing a tiara all summer or like
No, I should
missed
have.
opportunity, girl.
Maybe next summer.
Next summer for sure, for sure.
So I'm so excited to have you on. It's been a really long time
Yeah,
since we saw each other last
I
in,
know.
were we in Alberta?
Were we?
Albany? We were at the Our Maker Life Retreat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I guess that would have been that's where oh, dang that was a long time ago.
2018, 2007. No, it wasn't
I think it
17.
was 18. Yeah. Oh man, that feels
Yeah,
like a lifetime
before
ago.
pre-pandemic lifetime.
Yeah.
But I had the pleasure of kind of running into you at that event, and I had kind of been following you online before, but you and I just really clicked, and we ended up sitting next to each other at dinner, and you were
Yeah.
telling me about your book, which is like a reality now.
No.
And so we're definitely going to talk about that.
Mhm.
But I feel like it's important to tell these sort of like Genesis stories so
Yeah,
that people know that these meetings do still happen organically. They're not all, online based.
right.
So if you're watching and you're a person like me who struggles with the digital media and like building good relationship, it does happen organically. You can meet someone, go to an event,
Yes.
hang out with Tony Lipsy by chance, eat a burger,
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm
have a
always
beer.
out and around. I mean, honestly, I will say I'm really glad that events like that are starting to pick back up
Me too.
because like those organic meetings, I feel like they just have more depth to them, you know? Like
Yes.
when you've been able to see somebody in person and like touch them with your
You get
hand,
their
it's
vibe.
different.
You get like
Yeah.
their vibe. And for me, that's everything. Like, I
Yeah.
just really, like, if I meet someone in person and I like them, I'm going to like them 10 months down the road or 3 years down the road.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if I don't meet them in person ever and it's just like chatting online, I don't really know how to feel about that person,
It's just
you
not the
know?
same. It's not quite the same. You know, and honestly, I feel like a lot of folks complain about like Zoom and stuff. Thankfully, I don't have to do it often, but when I'm meeting
Yeah.
somebody, I really love even just that face to face, I think makes a huge
Yeah, it's
difference.
a little bit better. It's
Yeah.
better than just like a phone call or although I love a gab on the phone.
Yeah. A little bit of
Anyone watching
everything,
who's
a
been
good
on the phone
mix
is
of
like,
communication.
yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So after you and I met and you were working on this book and we had a chance to work together a little bit, I think it was a project that I was doing for another company.
Mhm.
And then by hand, we were talking about what we wanted to do for upcoming issues. And we've been saying for a while, we need a crochet project. We need a crochet project. We aren't really addressing our crocheters. And I wouldn't say that Tunisian crochet is really addressing the crochet
Yeah.
as much as intended, but I just immediately, whenever I think like, what's a cool, hip, new, something that people haven't seen, something to get them introduced, I
Yeah.
feel like Tunisian is like the perfect bridge between
Yes.
knitting and crochet. So I was like, we have to ask Tony for
Yeah.
something. And you already knew Jake, who was one
Mhm.
of our featured dyers from this issue, is a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think Tony would do something? And he was like, Tony will totally do something. You should ask her. And so we ended up asking you, and you came up with this absolutely beautiful shawl design, the Block Island shawl. So I'm going to
Yeah.
hold up a picture. I don't know if you have the sample there as well.
You. It's what
Not
I'm
sure.
wearing.
You do. Oh,
That's
it's so beautiful. And I love the color of this.
yes.
I
This
just feel
like
like this soft, so good.
yes, this like super soft green. I remember when you oh so pretty. I remember when we were working through the details originally about the project and we were kind of talking through color palette and kind of the feel and the mood we were going for, I was like, I can't wait to work with a green. Like it's not a color I gravitate towards often, but the whole feel and that whole issue, it just felt like a freshness and an opportunity, and those feelings feel like green, like that new life, that kind of fresh springness. So
Yeah.
this was such a fun project.
With the colors, we were totally looking for, so we shot this issue almost back to back with
Yeah.
our Hudson Valley issue, which is something that we really hadn't done
Mm-hmm.
previously. But because of the pandemic and restrictions with travel, we knew that this would be an issue where we didn't get a chance to connect with a lot of people, and we wanted to minimize the amount of contact that we were having and how many planes our team was jumping on. So they drove. I didn't get to go on this trip, sadly. So sad. Jen and Andrea drove from the Hudson Valley to Rhode Island, and they shot and visited the makers there immediately after our Hudson Valley issue. And then everybody just like went into pre-holiday quarantine.
Sure.
So when you're doing like, this was our May issue, which means it was pre-summer, but we were shooting it in September.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that felt like it could be any number of seasons, like right at the beginning of spring, right at the end of summer, which is when it was actually being shot. And I wanted to communicate this sort of like cool days on the beach, not the hot middle of summer days on the beach, but those like transitional seasons where all the tourists are gone and people who live right by the ocean, they go out and they just enjoy, you know, the scent of the ocean and the quiet, and maybe they find sea glass and seashells. And so we pulled a lot of that in as inspiration, and then we added some really strong blues, and Jake did a whole collection of yarn colors based on this idea of colorways for the book. And this was one of the colorways he came up with, and it was so dead on. It was like the gray of the sky in the ocean before a storm, dawn, it was sea glass. It's like serving all of those things.
Yeah.
It's such a good color.
My gosh. This imagery, I feel like I'm on the beach right now. I was like, yes, send the tourists home. We need our beach back. Like,
I don't even live on the beach. I'm like, I bet the tourists are annoying. I'm one of them.
I've never lived on a beach, but if I did, I would probably also hate the tourists.
So I saw someone in the comments ask what the shawl is, and the shawl is the Block Island Shawl by Tony Lipsy, or TL Yarn Crafts, who is joining us today, for anyone who's just joining us now, to talk about this design for the By Hand Serial Lookbook 15, Rhode Island. We've just released it in digital. We've released it a little bit early to give our designers access to their patterns again before the holiday season. Just a little happy gift at the end of the year. For me as well, because it just simplifies the process for me a little bit as the new owner. But let's talk about the name of the shawl. Block Island is a place in Rhode Island. Do you have any particular relationship to Block Island?
Not especially. I've never been. So like you mentioned, Jake and I are friends. We have been for a really long time, and we have been making plans since we became friends for me to go out to Rhode Island. Still have not been. But since we started making those plans, I'm a bit obsessed with planning trips. So I created a Pinterest board, and I put Block Island on my Pinterest board a while ago, of a place that I wanted to go. And it's because they have this fantastic lighthouse. I'm a bit obsessed with lighthouses just because I don't get exposed to them a whole lot. And I just love the idea of this beacon of safety and this beautiful, like, it's this utilitarian object, but they're so beautiful and they're so one of a kind, and like every place's lighthouses are different. And the one on Block Island, it's just, I don't know, it just speaks to me. So when I was coming up with the name for this, I wanted to, give a nod back to Rhode Island, since that's the catalyst for this entire issue. And Block Island was definitely right there at the top. So it was an easy pick.
I love that. So it's a destination on your list. It's somewhere that they did visit. I didn't get to go either, so I feel you there. They did visit for this book, and we do talk about it in the book a little bit. And it does seem like a really cool, like, tourist destination. I think our photographer Jen had been talking about shooting a wedding on Block Island at some point, like an elopement, and that's what made us want to do the Rhode Island issue in the first place. So it's really cool that you picked that name.
Oh, nice.
I love this shawl for the texture of it. And I was trying to explain to our friend Kathy in the post about it on our feed what makes Tunisian crochet different from traditional crochet. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that since you've got a whole book on it?
Of course, I would love to. It's my whole thing. So Tunisian crochet varies from traditional crochet in that it creates a whole different fabric. And really, when I think about Tunisian crochet, I have to think about it in juxtaposition of knitting as well as crochet, because like you said, it's kind of that bridge in the middle. It borrows features from both crafts. So from crochet, it uses a hook, and it makes you work the fabric up in kind of this three-dimensional way. And that's what I feel like is the biggest difference between knit and crochet. So with knitting, all of your loops are right there. You're going to take, theoretically one loop from this side and put it over on this side somehow. With crochet, there's a lot of opportunity for where you put the hook, and it's just more of a 3D experience. So you get that same thing with Tunisian crochet. Now from the knitting side, and I think what makes this technique so appealing to knitters is a lot of the motion and the movements are similar. So it's, pushing your tool in, doing a wrap and pulling it back out and collecting loops up on that hook to create a fabric. Now, one of the things that makes Tunisian crochet its own little thing is that, especially for a project like this, you never have to turn your work. You're always working on one side from the very beginning to the very end. And I really like that, because then you don't have to get confused about what your first stitch is. Is this the wrong side or the right side? It just becomes this very rhythmic, therapeutic process. So when it comes to the difference between Tunisian crochet and traditional, they're just two very different techniques. They use similar types of tools, but they do create different fabrics. They use different stitches, different terminology. They are really their own kind of separate entities.
Yeah, so if you're watching and you've never seen a Tunisian crochet hook, you probably have. You just didn't realize you saw a Tunisian crochet hook. So if you've ever seen like a really weirdly long crochet hook, that's what that's for.
Something
And
like
if
that.
you've ever seen a crochet hook that has like an extendable cord on it, like a circular needle cord with like a bobble on the end or some kind of end cap, that's also for Tunisian crochet.
Yes.
So I always tell people, like, you might see something that looks like a cross between a circular needle and a crochet hook.
Yeah.
It's for Tunisian crochet. And I have tried it before. I think I did one Tunisian crochet project, and it is so fun. I can definitely see how you got like into it, but how did you get into it? How did you start doing Tunisian?
Oh, great question. I loved sharing this story. So I was at my very first Vogue Knitting Live in 2017. Very, very green, even in TL Yarn Crafts. Like I was still kind of trying to catch my footing, So I went to Vogue really just as a spectator. I just wanted to soak it all in. And I ran across this woman who had this massive Tunisian crochet hook. I think it was like 30, it was like a 30 millimeter. It was huge. So of course, and she's working with this giant thick yarn. I think it was like that Malabrigo, like thick rope that they used to have. So she's working on it, and I come around the corner and I see her, and I was like, oh, I need to, whatever's happening here, I need to know, I need this. So I go up to her, and she was gracious enough to sit me down, and she's like, here's what it's called, here's how you do it. She told me a little bit about the history, told me about some designers that were working with the technique. And she was so knowledgeable and so accommodating and so prepared. I was like, well, I feel obligated to look into this. Not only was it something that, when I was working on it, even in those first couple minutes, I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. But as a way to honor her patience and attentiveness to me, I went home and I was like, I'm going to look into Tunisian crochet. And I did. And at the time in 2017, there wasn't a ton of information like readily available about it. A few people had done some books and some videos, Melissa Leitman, Dora Orenstein rather, and they'd both done some content around it, but it wasn't really like out there, like knitting and crochet were. They were really kind of picking up steam in 2017. And I was like, oh, well, that's not very fair, and I'm gonna have to change that. So that's actually why I started my YouTube channel, was to teach crochet. Yeah, and I mean, it's just,
And now you're like,
history.
I mean, I feel like it would be kind of unfair to say that you're anything but a leader in that space. I think that you're one of the most notable Tunisian crocheters of the modern era, and so you've not only shared your love of Tunisian through beautiful projects, but you also do so much education
Mhm.
on your YouTube channel. I think that that's one of the reasons why people love to follow you, because you're so forthcoming with knowledge and new techniques and experiences and things that you love. And so if you guys are following By Hansero and you aren't following Tony, like, you need to go and follow Tony, because she does the coolest stuff. I love following you for so many reasons. I mean, the Tunisian stuff is just one of them. Another is your nails. Your nails are always switching colors on me, and I love it. Um, yeah, at the time, I think that I had maybe heard of one or two Tunisian crochet designers who were doing it consistently.
Yeah.
The one for me that comes to mind is Yulia Takacheva, who's
Mhm.
in Russia, I believe, or she might be in Ukraine. But there were really not anyone domestically who was like dedicated to it the way
Yeah.
that you are. So all of that dedication, all of that excitement that you had for that craft turned into a book that came out just a few months ago, right?
Well, technically, it just came out yesterday.
Oh,
Technically,
I saw it in a bookstore like 3 days ago.
fine with
They're
me.
just sticking it out.
Yep. There was a yarn store that I work with, and they got copies in last week, and they're like, "Yeah, we put them out. We'll take them down." I was like, "No, don't take them down. Leave them out. Leave them out. It's
Oh,
fine."
so I'm just so excited to see this come to fruition, because when I met you, you were just like beginning to work on it, and you were
Yes.
like in the contracting stage, and you had all your projects outlined, and you were just working on it, and you were like, "It's a lot. I don't know if I want to do this." And I was like, "Do it. Make
Yeah.
it happen. You got this." And now it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, that is the best feeling. So flip through it. So show us some previews.
Sure. Okay, I will. So this is my book, and I will say, like, I'm a person that I live and die by the visuals, because when it comes to learning something, I kind of follow the philosophy of, like, you eat with your eyes first. So when I see a text, especially something like this, or I see a pattern and I'm like, oh my gosh, the photography is beautiful. The colors are wonderful. They picked great yarns. You can feel the texture through the image. That's what I was really trying to capture here. Because especially for somebody who doesn't know me, doesn't know Tunisian crochet, if they're walking through a bookstore and they see this, I want them to be like, oh, I will gladly judge the book by that cover because it's beautiful. And then hope that will encourage them to pick it up, flip through it, and learn something new. So I definitely focus a lot on the visuals here. But as far as the actual content, it's got about 75 pages of photo tutorials for Tunisian crochet. So that's everything from the tools and materials. It's got different stitches, different techniques. So doing like color work and joining, finishing, I mean, everything from start to finish of your project. And then the second half of the book is 20 brand new patterns. I wanted to be really intentional and about not just throwing out, you know, the patterns that I have already, which by
let me interrupt you for a second.
Oh, sure.
20 patterns is
20
insane.
patterns. Yeah. Well,
I think my book has like 10.
Well, you know what's so funny? I was actually just talking about this on my live yesterday. So when Abrams first approached me, they're like, yeah, 12 patterns would be great. And I was like, 12 patterns would be cool, but 20 would be amazing, because I can't help myself. I was like, nice round numbers,
Too
you
many
know?
ideas.
So, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I had so many ideas. And also when I was putting this together, I was like, if this happens to be the only book I ever write, you know, what do I want to go in here? What do I want to be the one thing that I do? And I wanted to make sure I had a good collection of patterns, because people like different things in their patterns, especially beginners. Some people really like starting with a washcloth or like a little planter or something. And some people want to go big for a blanket or a cardigan. So I wanted to give people those options and that range in this one text, you know, and not make them feel like they have to, you know, go looking for something else. Yeah.
So the patterns range from beginner to intermediate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We had someone in the comments ask about how hard Tunisian is to learn. I would say it's really easy to learn, and about as easy to learn as crochet or knitting. I mean, it's really just about learning the motions.
Yeah, I think with Tunisian crochet, just like any other needlecraft, it's really about just getting the motions down, and then of course your tension. So one of the biggest challenges I had learning knitting was getting the motions and the tension down. So when I was writing this book, kind of thinking about that from the beginner perspective, I put a lot of information in about what impacts your gauge and what little tweaks you can make so that when you're holding the hook or when you're holding the yarn, you kind of have that comfortable flow going. So yeah, everything is beginner friendly. Even the ones that are a little bit trickier, the patterns, I still think a confident beginner can make. Absolutely. And then as far as learning, it's incredibly simple to learn Tunisian crochet, especially if you have any kind of crochet experience already. I have a lot of tutorial videos about it. So for anybody who maybe has gotten their book and they're a little intimidated to start, or maybe hasn't gotten a book yet, I would definitely recommend they check out my YouTube channel. And I've got a video called The Absolute Beginner's Guide to Tunisian Crochet. And it really does take you from beginning to end of making that first piece of Tunisian crochet fabric.
We have so many people commenting right now that they got their book. They're excited to get started. Someone said that they gave it a shot and it was a little wonky, and someone else is like, just block it. It'll block out. It's just like every other yarn craft that way. You can save a lot with the blocking.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to try it again. I haven't done Tunisian in years. I probably need to buy a new Tunisian crochet hook just for the project. I'll probably start with the Block Island wrap because I have not gotten my copy of your book yet, so I need to work on that.
Okay.
But that pattern, the pattern from the by hand serial issue, is actually available in single PDF, right? Do you have that up yet?
So not just yet. It's going up today, right after this video is done. That is all I have for the rest of my.
So if you guys want that, like, make sure you get on Tony's newsletter list so that you know exactly when it goes live. Now, obviously, you can get the digital copy of the book or the print copy of the book. I still have, I think, about 30 print copies left in the shop. So if you're a very tangible person and you want a print copy, I can send you one. But if you're just looking for Tony's pattern and you just want to try the Tunisian crochet, you can get a single copy directly from her later today.
If I could throw in my 2 cents, I would strongly recommend anybody who doesn't have one to get the print copy of the issue. It is beautiful. And it's just really, like, even if you don't do all the crafts in there, it's just this really inspirational collection of projects, like such a diverse group of designers you guys worked with. And again, as somebody who really likes the visuals, you guys don't pull any punches.
It's pretty.
It's so pretty. And I think that's the thing that's like, oh, that is gorgeous, and I really want that.
One of my favorite shots from the book. It is, our photographer is so good. She just does such a good job. So yeah, if you're a visual person, I do have a copy for you. Plus you get pictures like this. I mean,
I know.
Just the
stunning.
shawl was one of my favorite things to photograph and style for this issue. And there's some outtakes. I think if someone rolls back in our feed, they'll see them, but maybe I'll post them for posterity again to the stories today. There's like an outtake where I had this idea in my head that I would shoot it on the beach with like the wind blowing it. And what ends up happening is you throw it and then it smacks you in the face. So there's all these shots of me being like trying to toss the shawl around and looking like a complete goofball. But I will post them because they're just hilarious. I mean, I told Jen, I was like, edit these because they're gold. I have to keep them. So
I can't wait to see those.
I will post the bonuses for you guys today. What an exciting day for you. So what's next? I always feel like as an author, when someone asks me this question, I'm like, isn't this enough? But I know that you probably have something in the works because a book process is like multiple years. So you've been done with it a while already.
Yeah, I have been. And I mean, most recently, it's been a lot of the logistics of getting the actual book out. But kind of my main priority right now is just continuing to promote it. I have a couple in-person events that I'm grateful to be able to do. One here in Columbus, and then we'll be doing one in Ann Arbor the day after Christmas. So that's really exciting. But honestly, my main goal over the next month or so is just to relax. I'm just ready for a nice little break. We're going to be traveling for Christmas, and then starting in January, just trying to take things at a slightly slower pace, really prioritizing quality over quantity for a while.
I hear that. I hear that. Did you do any crocheting for people in your life this holiday season, or did you take a break from the gift
I
making?
did. I can never stop the gift making. There's literally always a gift project like going on the side. So the one that I recently finished is one of my best friends here locally is having her second baby. He's actually due on Christmas Day, so we'll see how that goes. But I finished a little blanket and a little stuffed animal for them, so I'm gonna be dropping that off this weekend, and then maybe trying to rush through a couple holiday gifts. But I think it might be a gift card season.
I feel that my husband was like, "Let's go Christmas shopping today," and I was like, "I
Look, I
don't
want
know
to.
what day it is. We're a little behind, babe."
It's
I'm
it's
like a let's get it done 6 months before kind
oh
of
yeah.
person, and so I don't know. This year I'm just like behind on everything, but it
I'm
is the
just
way it is.
honestly at this point, like besides my niece and my nephews, the little ones, like all the grown-ups, I'm like, you guys figure it out.
Agreed. Get yourself a present. I don't know what you want.
I think one thing that I am considering doing, and it works as a last minute gift, is I have a ton of photos on my phone with a lot of my favorite people, and I'm considering maybe just going through my phone and pulling some of those photos, like a picture of me with my mom or a picture of me with my brothers, and getting those printed out and frame them,
Oh, I
and maybe
love
giving those
that.
as gifts, instead of trying to go find something and buy something.
I used mixed tiles
Hmm.
recently to print off those little they're like squares and they come with their own frame, but they're super lightweight. And
Ooh.
then they have like an adhesive strip on the back that's wall safe.
Oh,
And
really?
I printed a bunch of our wedding and anniversary photos. We're in kind of this transitional stage with our house where I don't want to decorate, but I want to decorate.
Sure, makes sense.
And so I got these so I could just like stick them somewhere and be like, here, it's decorated.
Oh, that is such a cool idea. I love
And they're really affordable.
that. Okay.
Um, so I'll just put a note in for that. I don't get paid. They don't know who I am.
Not sponsored, yeah.
That's a non-sponsored plug.
Well,
But yeah, I really liked I was surprised with the quality of it for what I
yeah,
paid.
nice. Okay, I'll definitely have to check
So
that out.
as an
Yeah.
aside, yeah, we gave them all to members of the family, like the pictures
Oh, nice.
already in the little frame because we've got like my parents live in an apartment, so they
Mhm.
can't really. I mean,
Thanks.
they do, but they shouldn't put a million holes in the wall.
As someone who's lived in apartments and rentals my whole life, I am also guilty of I will put a hole in a wall in a heartbeat. I'm really bad.
Yeah, and
So having like a wall safe adhesive, much
someone
better.
in the chat asked where you would be in Ann Arbor.
Oh, sure. So I'm going to be at Spun Ann Arbor. It's a yarn shop. And absolutely beautiful, huge yarn shop as well. So that's going to be on December 26th. I believe we're there 1 to 3:30. No, that's not right. That's not true. Hold on one second. Let me make
Don't
sure I
go
say it
that
right.
time.
Yes, it's 1 to 3:30
Do go at
on
that
the
time.
1 to 3:30 at Spun, and they will have copies of the book there, so people can purchase the book, and I'll be there signing them, and I'll just be kind of hanging out. It's not like I'm not gonna be like at a whole table with a whole to do. I'm literally just gonna be hanging there with my project, probably my mom, and if you get a book, I'm happy to sign it. We can chat for a while, and yeah, it's just gonna be a good
That's
time.
perfect. Just like how you got hooked on Tunisian, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're going to probably get some other people
I hope
literally hooked on
paying it forward,
Tunisian.
man. I love it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the best possible scenario. And what's fascinating is I forgot that you're from Columbus.
Mhm.
And yesterday evening, I had on Ann Hansen, who lives in Canton,
Uh-huh.
Ohio. So
Not
I feel like the universe is pointing to Ohio and saying, do a book in Ohio, do a
Oh,
buy hand cereal, Ohio. And
um,
it's so close for me, I could drive there.
really?
So maybe I should get
Maybe.
to work on an Ohio book
Hey, you
sometime
know
in
what?
the future.
There are some really gorgeous like hidden gems in Ohio.
Oh,
The
yeah.
nature here, like there's a place not far from Columbus. It's a little north. I've only gone once, but they have the most beautiful natural waterfall just in the middle of this forest. And it's you
That's
turn a corner and you're not expecting it, but it's like you can't help but just marvel at it, and you just kind of stand there shell shocked for a bit. And it's like, these are the kinds of things, like, I'm originally from the Detroit area. I'm used to a big city, lots going on. So when I moved here, I was like, it's cute or whatever. You know, I didn't give Columbus
I love
I didn't give it
Columbus.
a lot of a chance. But this city and this state honestly continue to surprise me. So I think you could find some amazing
And
things
it seems like
here.
there's so many good makers
Oh
in
yeah.
Ohio. I feel like every time I turn around, I hear about someone else who's doing something cool
Yeah.
in Ohio.
Yeah.
So
Check us
maybe I need
out.
to get up there. Yeah, if nothing else, I'm gonna get up there eventually and do the Cedar Point. Have you guys been there yet? Cedar
Oh my
Point?
gosh. So having lived in Detroit, Cedar Point was like, I think, a little over an hour away from us, and we went constantly.
I've never been, but I love roller coasters.
Oh,
And I'm like, I need to go.
yes. Well, at least when I used to go back in high school, their tagline was Cedar Point is America's roller coast. They were very
Adorable.
they were very proud of their roller coasters. I loved them too.
Yeah,
It's
and
a great
if
place.
anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, Cedar Point is like the theme park with the most roller coasters in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone was asking about the pattern that's coming out today is the
Yeah.
Block Island shawl.
Mhm.
Is it shawl or wrap? Block Island
I think we have it down as
wrap.
wrap. Yeah.
And it was first featured in By Hand Zero Lookbook 15, which is our Rhode Island issue. This came out in May of last year, and it was due to come out in digital format in May of this year, but we decided we don't want to make anybody wait anymore. I'm ready for everyone to be having everything.
Yeah.
And so we released it in digital early, and now Tony has the pattern coming out later this evening.
Yep.
As an individual PDF. So sign up for her newsletter if you just want the pattern. If you want the full book, you can find it at byhandzero.com. You can also get it in digital on Ravelry if that's your preference. It's a really beautiful book. It's one of the last ones that Andrea Hungerford did as editor. And it's got just like sunrise, sunset, beach vibes,
It's
cute
so
little
beautiful.
city. We have amazing makers in this issue. There's sewing patterns and weaving pattern and projects galore,
Mm-hmm.
and gorgeous photos. Like, what is this? It's the coast. It's gorgeous. These are sailing boats. I did not get to go on this trip, so it's one of my favorite ones to look through because I don't have all of the memories that everyone else has, good memories associated with it. But I get to look at it and go, oh, that's somewhere I wish I could go. I haven't been there yet. And the food is apparently really good in Rhode Island.
Is it?
There is good food. It sounds like you just need to get that trip together and go visit Jake.
I do.
Who is one of the featured makers and also the yarn maker for Tony's pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to thank you again for joining us on what is like a super busy day for you. Pub Day is a crazy busy day. I'm sure you got your email, Happy Pub Day from Abrams.
Yeah, I did. And and I saved it. I actually printed it out. I'm going to put it in my little scrapbook.
I love it. It's my favorite email to get. And I'm so happy for you as a designer and fellow author and fellow Abrams author and someone that I consider a little bit more of a friend than an acquaintance. Mm-hmm. I hope that we get to hang out in person again soon, but it was really lovely just to like take a little moment this afternoon and hear about what you've got going on and see pictures of your book. And all of your fans who are popping in are so friendly and sweet and excited, and I love that. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna let you get back to your day.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Thank you for the invitation. And like Hannah said, I'm gonna have the pattern up this afternoon. And on top of writing the book, I also launched my new website. And to celebrate, I do have 10% off site-wide, no coupon code needed. So the pattern should be up probably within the next 30 minutes.
Do you have signed book copies on your site as well?
I don't, only because it's, and we'll have to get a drink and I'll talk this through with you, girl. It has been such a ordeal getting this book out. So I am currently sold out on my site, but there will be copies at these events that I mentioned. And there are also copies available at a lot of local yarn stores around the country.
Yes, I think my LYS has it as well.
That's
I'll pop
honestly the
over
best
there.
place to find it, because even like Amazon and Barnes and Noble have orders pushed back to like after Christmas.
That's
So
wild.
yeah.
That's wild. Well, if you are just joining us, I see that there are a few people who just joined us. Don't be sad. You did miss the call live, but I will repost it here in like 10 minutes or less to our By Hand Cereal feed here on Instagram. And it will also be posted as a blog post on our website and on YouTube. So you can rewatch as many times as you want. You can see me stumble over words and Tony be flawless and fantastic and talk about her beautiful book, and all of us just be super excited. So this has been an absolute joy, and I hope you have the most wonderful evening
Oh, you
planned
too,
for yourself to celebrate. Have some champagne, eat a
I'm not.
fancy dinner, don't cook.
Oh, I'm definitely not cooking. Definitely not.
Good. Well, it's been great to hang out. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
me
Tony.
too. It was great to see you. I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Yes, I'll make it up there.
All right. Bye.
Bye.